In the Area Truck Series, just 2 rounds remain in the regular season before we head to the playoffs here in the Area Truck Series. Talladega next week, but tonight, a little more wild action. Michigan Speedway, 2 miles around this very fantastic, very fast racetrack with the trucks. This is a classic, Finian. This is a fun one. High speeds, a little bit of banking to lean on, but it'll be drafty tonight for sure. Kyle Heyer joined by Finian DeCuna in our penultimate race of the regular season for the Area Truck Series. It is a packed field, 33 cars getting set to go racing here tonight.
Yeah, can't wait for these guys to get out there on the track. Michigan, as you mentioned, so wide. And because it's so wide, guys can use many different angles, many different lines around this track, and it's going to get very racy real quick. And especially, and it's really good that it's going to get really racy because the picture is closing in. Penultimate round, as you mentioned, and we'll take a look at the standings right there. You can see Weishart, Beckner, Skyley at the top of the chart, Hartz, Hurley, Bell, last guys with a win. And then 7th on back, guys without a win. Talk about guys like Brad Slaughter, Cameron Hearn, Garrett Grant, all looking to potentially get that win just to seal themselves in. Again, we're heading to Talladega next week, and as we talked about last night in the Cup Series, you don't want to bet on Talladega.
You don't. If you're Brad Slaughter, I think you're feeling pretty good about where you are. But Cameron Hearn on down tonight is going to be critical. And even for Slaughter, if he has a bad night tonight, that could lead him into a pretty bad spot heading into the playoffs. He could potentially even miss them. Down to the racetrack. Right now, practice is underway, but it's about 6 minutes remaining. We're here in Brooklyn, Michigan at the Michigan International Speedway. Brooklyn has a population of about 1,200 people. Not a big town around here. This track constructed back in 1968. It's seen all forms of racing, IRL, kart, NASCAR, and more. The racing career of Chip Ganassi famously ended here after an accident in 1984. Down to the track, on the top of the board right now, it's David Weishart in that number 33. 3 wins on the season, as we saw earlier. Finian leading practice here as well.
Yeah, doing a really solid job in that number 33 machine. Let's see if we can get another win for the season. Win number 4. Haven't really seen a whole lot of dominance in the truck series. It's been relatively even up until recently with Weishart claiming a 3rd win. Otherwise, it was usually just everyone getting 1 win apiece for the most part, and then him getting that 2nd, 3rd win. I had talked about Beckner, multiple wins for him. James Coyote's also 2 wins to his name. But let's talk about guys that don't have a win. Brad Slaughter, he's currently sitting 4th in the points when you just look at the points tally in general, but 0 wins to his name. And, every time I think, I'm just wondering how he doesn't have a win, because he performs fairly consistently, but he's only 15th fastest on the time sheets. Again, practice is one thing, racing's another.
Well, you see him banging doors there with James Scioli, who's 2nd here in practice. Yeah, and you see how pack racing this is. This is not a speedway in the typical sense. Maybe in the Cup cars it would be a little bit more straightaway speed, a little bit less cornering speed, but these trucks, they don't have as much power. They're on it almost all the way around here, just a little bit of a lift to get the truck settled, but in qualifying you might be almost flat to the floor, and you get these packs of trucks formulating, and we could see some big ones tonight like we'll see next week at Talladega.
And also mentioned Brad Slaughter too. It's not because he's not been slow. He's qualified on pole twice this season so far. And not looking the fastest at the moment here. We'll see when qualifying takes over if he's got any speed hidden in that 8 machine.
Spin for the 28 of Travis Beckner. Around he goes in 3 and 4. And see the consequences of Michigan Speedway. Fast racetrack. Let's right on board here with James Scioli. He's in this battle. Watch this straightaway speed here as we head off into turn number 1. Almost 185 miles an hour. You get down into turn 1, and that doesn't really change a whole lot. 181, 180, 176, 173. And you just down maybe, 10, 15 miles an hour and right back at it.
Yeah, that is going to decrease as the run goes on and these guys get packed up. But effectively, it is going to be, especially when these restarts on the initial start after the first few laps, it's essentially going to be like a pack race like what you would see at Daytona, Talladega, and I guess now also Atlanta. It's still weird to say. It doesn't get now weird to say.
So cars making their way around. It's a pretty big field tonight. And way at the back of the field right now is Cameron Hearn. He's made 22 laps here in practice, but none of them put him anywhere close to the top of the order. Is this a sign for concern for the 67?
Yeah, a little concerning. I mean, he's put, 22 laps? So he's definitely gone out there and tried. I guess not tried particularly hard back in 2019 and 67. We'll see if he's got anything hidden in store come race time from that machine. But it's a little further back than I would expect a driver of his caliber.
Well, here's a look. Half a second is the difference. He has a 40.039, a 39.498 is Weishart's best time. Half a second covers almost the entire field. Logan Hartman, the lone exception to that right now. So it is incredibly close with the draft. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's just the difference in draft pace there. Maybe Hearn has only made single truck runs and hasn't jumped into this mix just yet.
Here's something, doing a little combing through the statistics. Last 2 times he was at Michigan in the Truck Series, Season 1 and Season 2. Ended up finishing second in Season 1 and took the win last season in Season 2. So he definitely knows his way around this place, so you might want to keep an eye on that 67.
I think we are going to have to. Even though he's down the order a little bit here in practice. Paul Irvin, how about him running 4th right now in practice pace? A 39.634.
Yeah, Irvin's been an interesting case. There's times where he's been really good, really fast, up near the top of the charts, and then hasn't quite been able to finish, especially in the last few weeks. 32nd at New Hampshire, 20th at Charlotte, and 32nd at Bristol. So he's struggled quite a bit in that 48 machine in the last few weeks. See if he can pick it up. He's only got 1 top 10 this season so far, so if he can continue this practice pace, he's set for his first top 5 and second top 10 of the season.
2 minutes left here in practice. Looking down the rest of the order here, a couple trucks maybe a little further back than perhaps we were expecting. Garrett Grant in the 46 down in 23rd, but I'm not sure how much you can really take away from speeds in this particular session, nor really from qualifying. That's just kind of a crapshoot as far as where you end up. Just be as smooth as possible to land yourself the best possible qualifying position. And then 90 laps is the race distance tonight, Finney. That's going to tick by relatively quickly, but with cautions, it could slow down, and this could be a fairly long race for Truck Series standards.
Oh, it definitely can. It really, and as you mentioned, especially, you got to consider the fact it's going to be like a pack race, as we mentioned. Everyone's going to be close together, so there's going to be a high chance of cautions coming out on the initial starts. I think once these guys get spread out, once the run continues on, they get a little bit more spread out. Obviously, the chances of that are going to decrease significantly, so we'll see how this race is going to play out. We usually see cautions typically end up breeding cautions, but if we do start off with a long green flag run, we might end with a long green flag run.
Practice is concluding here in about 1 minute time. Looking down on the speedway, have a look at the weather. It's kind of overcast a little bit. You see the clouds in the sky there, 83 degrees in the air, but the track temp is 94. That's actually pretty warm considering the cloudy conditions.
Yeah. I was going to say it's warm just in Denver, Michigan. I guess I'm still thinking, obviously because we're in winter right now, it's freezing outside. So the fact that Michigan is 94 degrees, well, 83 in the air, 94 on the track, that is pretty hot for these guys. Hotter than they probably would have liked. We'll see if that cloud cover does come into play and it comes over the track for any long extended periods of time, cool it down. I'm sure these guys will enjoy the extra grip.
Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. That is twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Practice is complete. Qualifying will kick off here in just a moment. 33 trucks loaded in here, and it's going to just be whatever lap is the smoothest, Finney, and that's all these drivers can hope for. Now, here's the real fun part of this is the kind of plate qualifying strategy. High on lap 1 and then kind of give that lap up and hope that you carry some speed into that second lap.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a bit. Depending on the track, especially in the Cup Series, lap 2 being faster, lap 1 being faster, really depends on which tracks depend on momentum. In keeping up the momentum, definitely Michigan, definitely one of the tracks where you want to keep the momentum up. But we have seen in the past, a lot of guys, they'll just kind of take lap 1, they'll kind of meander a little bit, take it a little bit easy, save their tires a little bit, and then push hard on lap 2.
David Weishart rolling up onto the apron right now, getting set for his warm-up lap. And taking his sweet time getting up to speed. Garrett Grant already up to full song here, 175 miles an hour off into turn number 3, riding on board. See the banking here, and Grant's right up against that outside wall at the top of the banking.
Yeah, definitely the place you want to be coming off the corner, at least for your warm-up lap. He's getting as good of a run out of the corner as you possibly can. He comes flying across the line to start his first time lap. We'll see if he's going to be one of those guys that kind of takes it easy, just going to rip around the top lane, or if he's going to actually push. And I think he is going to take it a little bit easy. I can't imagine that's the fastest way around, especially in qualifying.
I still think this is going to be Daytona style. We're going to run that first lap up against the outside wall. You'd think that you wouldn't get up to full speed, or you would be up to full speed by the time you hit the start-finish line. but I guess these drivers think otherwise, and they're going to commit all their momentum building to this first flying lap. And then lap number 2 will look very different for Garrett Grant out of turn 4. You'll start to see times populate the timing and scoring screen on the left. Grant will be one of the first drivers across, 48.18. That is a second and a half slower than the fastest time in practice with the 8 of the draft.
Yeah, and you can definitely anticipate that time is going to pick up as these guys try to push for their main lap and their main attempt. Looking at Bobby Tinch currently at the top of the charts. Garrett Grant, Brad Slaughter, definitely the ones to keep an eye on. Same thing with Scioli and Weishart. Cameron Hearn also starting his second time lap in the 67. We talked about him, second place at Michigan, 1 second place and 1 win here at Michigan in the last 2 starts for the Truck Series. So expect that truck to do pretty well. And same thing with Brad Slaughter. See if he can get a 3rd pole this season.
Tinch was 7/10 up on Garrett Grant on his first lap, so I think he did not try that high lane strategy. I think he's going to kind of run middle of the road both laps. We'll see if it's a pickup for Tinch at the line, and it is a 41.40. I'm sorry, 43.08 is not a pickup. It was Brad Slaughter Jr. that ran the 1.40, and he goes to the top, and Weishart promptly knocks him down to 40.081.
And Cameron Hearn did not finish his qualifying attempt. Interesting. He actually, correction to that. He did finish his qualifying attempt, but it didn't count both of his laps.
Interesting. Wonder if he touched the wall, maybe?
I'm trying to review it right now. I don't think he did. Oh, wait, hang on.
Colin Fambrough crossed the line at 41.64, jumps up to 4th place.
Yeah, looking at Cameron Hearn's laps, he didn't hit the wall. He didn't touch the grass, obviously, so I don't know why those laps didn't count. Sure, he's probably just as confused.
Here comes Fambrough through 3 and 4. You ever had OBS flicker on you, Finian?
Define flicker.
Like it minimizes itself for like a quarter of a second and then comes back?
No.
That's a weird one. Fambrough, no pickup lap 2. AJ Roderick, number 56, starting his first lap. Man, these are long laps in a truck. Not very entertaining on their own, but they're going to get their hands full and wish it was boring in about 10 minutes' time.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to miss the times where just kind of at ease and just kind of riding around by yourself. You're going to be worried constantly with everyone moving all about every which way, 3 lanes, 3 wide half the time. It's going to get very interesting very quickly. And looking at 56, also looking at the 48, Paul Irvin out on the track, showed some really solid pace in practice. We'll see if he can extrapolate that to qualifying here, coming to start his first time lap.
Ryan Swan at 48.77 goes 15th quick. James Coe locks down at 8th. Now here comes Cody Cutler, jumps up into 8th place, knocks Coe down to 9th. And looks like AJ Roderick 17th on the board.
Justin Anasogag jumping to the top of the timesheets. Almost a 40 flat, 40.055 for the 88 machine.
Really good lap. Puts him 26 thousandths ahead of David Weishart. Other trucks on track: Matthew Bell, Bryce Senesac, Eric Wineland, Matthew Cochran on the road.
I don't like how these guys usually end up kind of slowly coming out to the during qualifying. Makes it easier to cover it.
Well, yeah, you don't leave us with 7 minutes of nothing happening. At least that's great. Here's Matthew Bell, and I think they know that. They know if they go out later, they'll get some coverage.
Might as well, a smart way to do it. As Bell comes across the line, 20th, 41.159 for him.
I think lap 2 is going to be the money lap for the number 9. Talked about Bell in the Cup Series on Monday, how he's just been in the mix quite a bit as of late.
Yeah, unfortunately, last night had not even a pit road speeding penalty. Coming out of the pits, got loose, caught a bump, hit, and went flying into the wall. Potentially race running car was taken out fairly early on. Actually, not fairly early on, fairly late on, and could have been a win. We'll see here what he can do in qualifying, at least here at Michigan in the trucks. Down on the apron, almost in the grass. Ooh, that should be pretty quick. Never mind.
41.96, 14th quick. Paul Irvin, he goes to P3. He's had a lot of really good single truck pace tonight. Carter Koop bailing out on his lap number 2. Travis Beckner just kicked off his first lap.
Yeah, he's going to do the method of rocketing around the outside of this first lap and then going hard the second. Pretty much most of the field, I think, going with that strategy.
Eric Wineland is on course with us in the booth on Monday nights. And on Tuesdays, he's on track, trying to lay down some times on the board and try to get up into the mix.
Yeah, we were talking after the broadcast last night. Said he's a bit concerned of his position. He is currently sitting 13th in the points, just outside of the cutoff window. So he's hoping for some. Actually,
14th.
14th. Okay, he's 14th. Right, because of the locked-in wins. That's why. So he's 14th in the points on the outside, looking in. So hoping for a solid race tonight and at Talladega, just to secure himself, get himself inside that top 12. If not, I mean, he can definitely try to get a win. If not here, then at Talladega. But like we said, don't bet your hopes on it. Try to get those points when you can.
So Eric Wineland enters turn number 3. Travis Beckner is coming out of 4 on his second lap. We'll see if this is a big enough pickup to put him in the front row. 42.14. It's going to be only good enough for about 18th place. That's a little interesting. I wonder if the temperature is rising. The sun is out and it's up a degree, so that shouldn't be enough. Wineland, 41.70. Good enough for 11th. Not a bad lap.
Yeah, not a bad lap indeed. Jordan Hurley also put in his time a little bit earlier than these guys and went up to 7th in the 5 truck.
And here comes Chris Seidenfeiden. This is the end of lap 1. We'll see where that puts him on the board for now.
Yeah, one of the last qualifiers as well. Everyone else has either made an attempt or not made an attempt to qualify as he comes across the line. So only in 27th, as we expect for lap 1 now. See what he can pick up on lap 2.
This was one of the slowest first laps that we've seen. So will that translate to a faster second lap? That's kind of been the case across a lot of the tracks that have this characteristic. And he's the only driver left that is going to get a qualifying effort. So Bell Tate, Abby Hearn, Ryan, and both Ryans actually are not going to make a qualifying run. Here comes Seidenfeiden out of turn 4 on the last lap of qualifying. And that one is a 41.64. That's good enough for 8th place.
All that for the 45 machine.
Tied with Colin Fambrough down to the 1,000th. Tight stuff there. Qualifying complete, so it'll be Justin Anasogak and David Weishart on the front row for our 11th round of the season. Again, we head to Talladega next week. That is our cutoff race. But going back to the points for one moment here, if I am anybody, well, really, if Brad Slaughter, again, as long as he gets through tonight, he'll be in pretty good shape heading into Talladega. Everyone else, though, is really in turmoil. And on the other side of the cut line, if I'm Jordan Martin, Tyler Hallman, Swerven Irvin, Bobby Tinch, it is going to take a lot of luck and a very, very lucky Talladega to really have a shot. So they're going to be the ones that are trying to do something crazy and get that win. They're not going to point their way in easily.
Yeah, and actually, if you can keep that up for a second, too, just want to point out, it's going to be an interesting grid coming into tonight. Cameron Hearn, talked about him, he needs to have a decent night. He's starting all the way back, I don't even know, actually. He's definitely going to be starting further back than I think around 28th at least. Actually, he just gridded him at 28th, so he's going to be starting off in 28th. And then guys like Justin Sogak, Paul Irvin, they're on the outside looking in, I think 13th and 15th or 13th and 14th, and they're going to be starting first and third. So we could be in for a big shakeup in the points coming out of tonight.
Certainly could be. We're going to kick off our night like we kick off our mornings with Roasted Gems Coffee. They're our starting grid partner. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code AREAIRACING for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. We'll get down to your starting lineup here in just a minute. It is going to be a long pace lap around here before we turn this 33 truck field loose for 90 laps. Now, this is one of those races, Finian, that goes one of two ways. It's going to be a big mess. You're going to wad up a bunch of trucks, or we could go green the entire way, have green flag stops, and go flag to flag green, which is a distinct possibility here because these trucks at these kind of high downforce high downforce requiring tracks, you just kind of end up flooring it around, and it's not that big of a challenge from a car control perspective, which means as long as you're not bouncing off each other, you should be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right, though, is making sure you're not bouncing off one another, which is easier said than done when you have so much real estate. This track is very inviting to making big dives, Hail Mary moves, going all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, on the apron many a times, because there's so much track to work with and so much banking to work with around here as well. So guys definitely make use of it, and that's where we see, because they all, no matter what part of the track, you're going to converge towards the exit of the corner up high by the wall. That's where we see a lot of accidents happen, exit of turn 2, exit of turn 4 around here. So we'll see what's in store here as we're just about to get ready to grid here.
Alongside David Weishart in that number 33. Row number 2, Finn, who you got?
Row number 2 is going to be Paul Swervin Irvin starting in the inside. Next to him, Tyler Holman, the 42. Another good qualifying effort. Again, a lot of guys without a win, looking like they have a solid chance of getting their first one of the season.
All right, row 3, it's Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 8. James Scioli starts 6th in the number 7.
Back in 7th, it's going to be Jordan Hurley in the number 5 machine. Chris Seidenfeld in the 45 next to him in 8th place.
Starting in 9th, it's Colin Fambros, number 18. He's got some work to do to get himself in the playoff picture. Ryan Hartz starts in 10th in the number 3 Rick's Hot Sauce truck.
Bobby Tinn's going to be rolling off in 11th place in the 66. Eric Weiland, the only Ford F-150 in the 21 car in 12th.
13th place is Cody Cutler's number 25. That's the 5-wide sports truck. James Coey's number 24 starts 14th.
Tom Bourne's going to be rolling off in the 16 truck in 15th place. Josh Taylor in the 57 is going to be rolling off in 16th.
17th place is Matthew Bell in the number 9 truck. Jeffrey Wilson starts 18th in the number 85.
Back in 19th is going to be Bryce Senesac in the 09. Next to him, Travis Beckner is going to roll off the 28 truck in 20th.
21st place is Cahill Holmes in the number 41. Ryan Swan's number 19 starts 22nd.
Back in 23rd, it's going to be Matthew Cochran in the 4 machine. A.G. Roderick's going to be next to him at 56 in 24th.
Starting 25th is going to be Carter Coops, number 52. Garrett Grant rolls off 26th in the number 46 truck.
Back in behind them, Logan Hartman's going to line up in the 51 truck on the inside. Next to him, Cameron Hearn, first driver, did not put a time down. 28th, it's going to be a long night for him.
Starting 29th, it's Shane Abbey in the number 12. Tommy Ryan starts 30th in the number 99.
And it's going to be Jacob Bell, who I believe is on admin duty for tonight in the 77, so not going to be on the grid. Christopher Tate in the 6 truck's going to be rolling off in 32nd. And rounding out your field of 33 trucks going to be Jeff Ryan in the 37 machine in 33rd.
All right, that's going to wrap up your starting lineup there. We were waiting a long time for a couple trucks to grid, so we're still on the pit lane here. Have a quick look at our race analysis. This is a 90-lap race, or 33 trucks, 180 or so miles, an altitude of 1,000 feet. This is going to be an interesting race for sure. Expect a lot of lead changes as well. I think we're going to see a lot of shifting and shuffling throughout the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect a lot of guys to go. I think a lot of comers and goers as well. I think guys just getting shuffled out of line and out of the pace. I think, and again, I'm curious to see how this first run is going to go, how this initial start's going to go. If everyone plays it nice and gentle with each other, which I doubt it's going to happen, but man can hope. I think we could be in for that long green flag run, but do we see if we get cautions early on? It could be a long night for everyone in the field.
Trucks rolling on to the pace lap, getting tires warmed up. In terms of pit stops, this is another place that you're not going to want to pit by yourself. And there's a lot to learn, including for next week at Talladega. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you want to take one last look at the weather, I don't know if we looked at it a little bit earlier, looked at it in the race session, up to 97 degrees in the track. So hottest it's been so far, hotter than in practice, hotter than in qualifying for these guys out there.
It's not going to help the grip level. But again, there's quite a bit to start with, so as long as you don't really put the truck too much on edge, you should be in okay shape. Through 3 and 4, trucks are getting set up. I don't think Shane Abbey made it to the grid.
He's not on the server.
Right, so he did not take the green flag, at least at the initial start of this race. All right, so that leaves 30 trucks. 30 trucks for our 11th round of the season. Lots to learn about this race and for next week at Talladega. 2 races remain in the regular season before we head to the playoffs in the Area Truck Series. And as Sogak and Weishart on the front row, green flag, and we're racing at Michigan. Oh, sideways, the 33 of Weishart in front of the field. Can he gather it back up? Everybody bails. Wineland gets in the back of the 45. Everybody scatters. I think we've made it through, but it's not over yet.
Oh, no, it is far from over. Look behind them. It's a hornet's nest. Look at the midfield. Everyone's swarming about. Oh, wrecking off into turn one. The 25 around off of Wineland. Caution out early on.
That started half a lap before that.
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of amazed that they didn't wreck half a lap before.
Cody Carter gets the short end of the stick in that exchange. Lots of damage on the 25 truck. So let's go back first to see what happened to David Weishart, because he took a wild ride off into turn number 3. Got to go back a little bit further on the Simrat Market replay here. He was outside of the 8. Brad Slaughter Jr. He just gets loose on his own. Gathers it back up, and then everybody is everywhere, basically, for lack of a better term. And then watch this 25 center screen now. 4 wide. And that's the 18 of Fambro, just gets squeezed from Wineland.
Yeah, it was a sandwich right there. The 25 coming down a little bit, Wineland coming up a little bit. And unfortunately, just ended up with a 25 getting the worst end of that.
Yeah, I think he and the 18 really the only drivers involved, which is actually pretty impressive when you consider where that was in the field, pretty high up the running order. Wonder if we could catch it on this shot if they had been in the wall by that point. I think they were just getting together. The 18, that's going to be terminal damage, I think, for the 18 truck as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a solid hit to the wall. Also a driver that got a decent amount of damage. Got it before he even took the green flag. Travis Beckner in the 28 machine on the initial start of the race. I was in behind, I believe, the 85, one of the 5 wide guys. I'll figure out who it was. 85, Jeffrey Wilson. Wilson missed a shift getting up to speed, and Beckner ended up rear-ending him, and then he himself also got rear-ended from the truck in behind. So heavy damage to his truck.
See the dent on the back of the 5 wide sports truck. 85 of Jeffrey Wilson riding on board Ryan Swan. So a couple takers here on pit lane, everyone from 19th on back. Guess it won't hurt to put some fuel in the truck now. You certainly wouldn't be taking tires right now, though.
No, I would hope you're not taking tires now. It's a valuable resource, it's a limited resource, unlike fuel. You can get as much fuel as you want, can't get as many tires as you want, at least not like you used to. So you're gonna have to manage the amount of tire sets you have, and just keep them for later, because still a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, a lot of racing. 4 laps down of 90. And Paul Irvin is your leader. That's what transpired, all that battling up front. And Swervin Irvin went from P3 to P1 in those couple of laps. Justin Anisogak back to 2nd. And Tyler Hallman. Here's a guy that really could use some luck in that number 42. Going back again to our points picture. Look where he is, 17th. Needs a victory, Finian, or 2 really solid weeks and some unfortunate circumstances for those ahead of him.
Yeah, you're going to see again a lot of those guys outside the top 12 are all running in the top 10, so I can count at least 4 of them at the moment. Urban, Anisogak, Coleman, who are all in the top 3. You can also throw in Eric Wineland further back in 9th place. So a lot of guys can gain a lot here tonight. Curious to see what they can do. I'm just amazed at how Paul Irvin took that start. He took no prisoners. We just absolutely went for it. Got past Anisogak before they even got back to the start-finish line on lap 1. So we'll see if the 40 can keep himself up there. That's going to be the big trouble now.
Lights are off on the pace truck. 1 to go. We'll restart at the tail end of lap number 5. And Irvin will elect for that inside lane. Now, did they fix the restart bug? I don't think they've had an update since yesterday. So
was that track specific?
Certainly could be. I hadn't heard more on it. So we'll get some clarification on that before we go back green.
See how that's going to play out here with Anisogak. And again, if just for clarification, if that glitch is still in play, admins will clear the black flag for the 2nd place driver, so that way they don't have to serve that.
So 2 drivers, well, 1 driver is out. That is Colin Fambro in the number 18. If he's getting back in, that truck is going to be multiple laps down. It already is 2 laps down. And the driver he was tangled with, Cody Cutler, is back on the track, and I'm actually surprised that that thing isn't more destroyed or didn't have to spend more time in the pits.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Framber was stuck in the pits this long. I knew it was a decent lick. I didn't think it was 3.5 minutes worth of repairs. Solid hit, but it's an unfortunate circumstance for him, and even too for David Weiser, all the way back from second, all the way back to 21st.
All right, 5 laps down. Paul Irvin, Justin Anasogak out front for the restart here at Michigan for the Area Truck Series getting back underway. Green flag back in the air here in Brooklyn, Michigan. And a great restart by Irvin. Just fired up and he's gone.
Yeah, launched like a rocket out of there. Caught Anasogak sleeping here. Hallman about to take second place, trying to see if he can clear. Anasogak mounting a charge, and here comes James Scioli on the bottom of the 42. He's trying to get a great run out of the corner.
Building speed here. So we're not going to be up to speed for another half lap or so. Hart's trying to take advantage to the bottom. He's going to follow the 7 to the bottom of the racetrack. Now kind of choose the middle groove. That's kind of where the speed is early in the run. Not right on the bottom, not right on the high side. It's kind of somewhere in between. As now Hart side drafts the 88 truck. Scioli now moves to second.
We'll see what Scioli's got in that number 7 machine. Don't count him out, a race winner this season. Looking to see if he can get win number 3. He can get it done here tonight. Ahead of the 42, now chasing down the 48. Irvin slipping up in the corner. Going to leave the bottom open for the 7 out of turn 2.
Battle for the lead now. The 7 is Scioli. Does he have enough of a run to clear the 48 into turn 3? He's going to get a shove from Tyler Hallman and off into the 3rd corner. Scioli will pull ahead.
And should be able to easily clear the 48 off of turn 4. So Scioli to the lead, should lead this lap. Hallman trying to see if he can follow on through with the number 7 to get around the 48 of Irvin.
Everyone lining up. Looks like an IndyCar race. Everyone getting nose to tail. And I saw Brad Slaughter Jr. on the defense there down with Bobby Tinch in the tailpipes. And look at the 48 way high on the racetrack. I think that a high lane is going to be pretty critical later in this race, but right now I don't think it's quite got the speed. It's able to carry some good momentum out of turn 2 though.
Yeah, I think he's trying to test the waters. It definitely helped them at least keep in the fight for second place. I don't think it's going to work as well out of turn 4. But definitely worth the shot, and if anything, you help preserve your tires a little bit better than the guys trying to keep their trucks tucked in on the inside lane.
Eric Wineland on the high side getting a push from the 16 of Tom Bourne, and ditto on the bottom with the 8 of Slaughter Jr. and the 09 of Senesac.
Irvin diving for the lead into turn 1. He's actually going to get ahead of the 7. Might be able to clear him. He's going to just slide up in front. A little bit of a slide job off of turn 2. Seals the deal. We'll get ahead of Scioli.
Scioli's going to think twice about that. Drops to the quarter panel of the 48. They're fiercely racing for the top spot. And this could get dangerous. One little miscalculation here, and your night can be over. Look at them. 3 wide in the mid-pack here. The 5 of Jordan Hurley has got them on all sides.
Fantastic stuff here all around the track. Battles going on. Drivers trying to make their moves and move themselves to the top. They're wasting no time here, only on lap 10.
I love Michigan in the trucks. I used to do this combination back on Dirt to Daytona on the PlayStation 2. That was such a fun combination, the trucks at Michigan. And I would do that over and over and over again. Loved how these trucks raced there, then and now.
Eric Wineland pulling out to make a move on Bobby Tinch. You got a little bit tight off of turn 2. Wineland trying to move up the order, restarted 9th up to 7th, trying to get 6th, and he's got Tom Bourne on his quarter panel in behind. As we look back at the leaders, Hallman and Irvin still duking it out for second place.
Yeah, this is getting pretty rowdy up here. Hallman and Irvin not really working together right now. They're fighting. Both of them have work to do in terms of the playoff picture. But there's an old adage about to win a race, you must first finish it. Here's the good thing. If you finish before everybody else, you also win.
Yeah, that's true. I thought you were going to go with the old adage of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That too. That'll be really critical next week at Talladega, where you absolutely require help. You cannot be a loner at Talladega. You need somebody to, at least, they don't need to be your friend. They just can't hate you.
That is very true. You need at least someone like inside. You just need at least someone willing to work with you.
Mike Joy always talks about it being a dance. And, it doesn't have to be the prettiest girl there, but it has to be acceptable. Don't let your standards fall too low. You'll end up backwards in the wall, though. So,
I guess
I guess I don't know. I never was a dancer type.
Neither am I.
I didn't take a big leap to figure that one out. How about Holman? On the high side is Scioli, and Irvin's going to dive back to the bottom. They're going to do this lap after lap after lap, and we're going to watch this lead change count climb. We've only been racing for really 7 laps. We've already had 3 lead changes. That number will be up in the 20s, I suspect, by the end of this race.
Weiland and Brad Slaughter doing battle now, duking out over 7th place. Slaughter trying to come back on the outside lane. I'm starting to see everyone shift a little bit higher, more guys stuck up on the top, because I think now it's really starting to get really good runs out of the corner. You can see Slaughter clearing there. There's Jordan Hurley, getting a great run out of the corner. Going to try to pass Tom Bourne, gets boxed in by Weiland.
And Matthew Bell creeping into the picture as well. Started this race in 17th. His progress has been steady and still moving forward. Look at this pack forming though behind the 16 and the 21. Senesac, Coe, Weishart back up the mix. He fell down to the 30th position after that big slide on the opening lap.
I also want to mention, Tom Bourne has been making some good moves. Just cleared Eric Weiland for 8th place, up 7 spots from 15th.
Ooh, big slide from Senesac in the middle of 1 and 2. Controlled it well, though. It wasn't out of control. It was just kind of one of those power slide moments. And Coe is middle 3 wide there for a second. That's Cahill Holmes in the 41, and just ahead of him, Seiden Fiden's 45.
And Weishart starting to make his way back up through the order, up into 13th after restarting back in 21st. So doing some solid. Whoa! Gets a big block from Jordan Hurley.
And battling off into turn 1. Those blocks, once or twice, you'll take them. By the end of the race, the patience will be gone. And we will see lots of blocking tonight. That's just how this racing goes.
Especially with Jordan Hurley, because I think he's got into a few drivers this season so far, namely Cameron Hearn, who's actually, speaking of which, coming through the order, up into 19th for the 67. He's had a few run-ins with the 5, to say the least.
And basically everybody else on that team.
Yeah, he's not a big fan of 5-wide esports.
Wasn't shy about sharing that. 15 laps complete. Here's, wow,
hello.
Weishart again taking big swipes at the 5. Matthew Bell giving it a go as well.
Yeah, both of them working around Matthew Bell, who's starting to drop back through the order. Driver low on the apron coming off of turn 2. That's Shane Abbey, who actually did end up joining the server. Just trying to stay out of everyone's way. 7
laps down. It'll be a long night for Shane Abbey unless we get a string of cautions. We've only had one so far. Look at the 18, slow on the bottom. 33 goes to the middle, and they will escape from that scenario. That was Fambro back out 13 laps down.
Oh, it's Fambro.
Yes.
Huh. I actually was not expecting to give him back out. I was just going to say a little while ago it seemed like he retired, but yeah, I'm genuinely surprised he's back out there. And that truck has seen better days. He's only going up to 158 miles an hour on entry to turn 1.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have a whole lot of fun tonight, unfortunately. It was not a night that he could afford to have a problem like that. Spin for Wineland out of turn 2.
And caution back out. That happened really quickly.
Yep. Just spun around. I mean, not a lot of damage, really just a little bit of door damage, but look on the Simrat Market replay, was on the outside of the number 5, and oh boy. Hard to get a good angle on this one. This is probably the best. No, I think the 5 just kind of just took him out there, Phinia. Just cleared up and tagged the 21. And out of turn 2 right here. A little bit too much. And
forgot I was muted.
I figured.
What I was saying is that, you talk about that. I was talking about that corner earlier in the broadcast, and everyone comes up off. Whether you're on the bottom lane or on the top lane, you all converge towards the wall on the exit of turn 2. And unfortunately, there they ended up meeting at the same piece of racetrack. And unfortunately for the 21 of Wineland, went around. Luckily for them, got away with very minimal damage. Just went for a loop. It's going to definitely have to get fresh tires, as I'm sure a lot of other drivers are prepared to get.
EOL for the number 5 for incident responsibility. And now we're going to see drivers hit pit lane. I would suspect at this stage tires will probably be worth something. Not exactly sure how much. Not also sure we're going to get a chance to know. I think everyone will come on down and take Goodyears now.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth enough. It's not a huge deal, really, I think, by yourself, but I think, being stuck back in traffic, you're going to be burning up your tires pretty quickly. So everyone coming down to get what I imagine are 4 fresh Goodyears. We'll see what these guys try to do if they have any sort of ace or game plan up their sleeve.
On pit lane and heading out here soon. One truck rolled through. That was Coe. Did not stop in the box. And it looks like the 7 of Scioli will win the race off pit lane. That'll be the 42, the 3.
Oh, Ryan Hartz.
The 48. Dropped a couple spots there on pit lane.
I don't know where Ryan Hartz was coming in. Oh, I guess he was in 4th.
He will
I
come
think
out.
I haven't mentioned him so far.
Yeah, it's been a quiet night. Started 10th up to 4th, just quietly creeping up into the mix. And again, up last night in the Cup Series race, he's getting real used to finishing 2nd. But as it stands so far, going back to the points picture on the season, Hart's 4th with a victory, which is critical because he's locked himself in. Doesn't have to worry about tonight nor next week. Just adding on to the win that he's already got.
Yeah, and already looking at that, Fambro sitting in 12th in the points. He's definitely going to fall out of the order. No way he can get that truck fixed in any decent shape. And that, even if he did get it fixed up, he's 12 laps down. So he's going to most likely finish 32nd. They're just getting out there, hoping that there's going to be some massive wreck that takes out a bunch of competitors later on. That's his only real hope, to just minimize the damage heading into next week. But he's definitely going to fall out of the playoff picture. He's going to have to race his way in at Talladega.
1 to green, lights are off atop the pace truck. Working lap number 20. Here's a quick look at our race recap. 3 leaders, 3 lead changes. That number had not changed, despite me expecting it to a couple times on that previous run. So we'll see it jump back up, I'm sure, on this next run here. Well, we've got a moment. Our replay sponsor is SimWrap Market. Fans, be sure to check out simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack.
I'm sure these guys about to be laser focused here coming into this restart.
So here's some interesting tidbits and knowledge.
What's that?
On the stream-related situations, those that are familiar know about frame dropping issues and things of the sort. I've been having real rough internet tonight, but I did change a setting that dynamically adjusts the bit rate, and it has seemed to have helped. I know
Really?
I noticed a stutter, but it allows it to keep streaming at like a 4,000 bit rate smoothly until it resumes back to normal. So it's been kind of hit or miss. It claims it hasn't dropped any frames. I don't believe that, but it is definitely a smoother playback than it would otherwise be had I not engaged that setting. So that's good to know. Still not great. Xfinity, you're the worst company on planet Earth. Coming back to the green flag, lap number 21. Only good thing that they do is sponsor NASCAR. Green flag back in the air. Scioli is in command. Hallman on the outside.
Oh, Scioli jumping on the brakes after getting going. I'm curious if he got a black flag.
Potentially.
He's slammed on the brakes.
Well, he's going to lose. He's going to jack up this whole inside lane now. The 66 and 16 almost got touched together there.
It looks like he didn't get any black flag, but I'm curious why he just jumped on the brakes there.
Or 3 wide, a couple rows deep now, down the back straightaway. This is tense moments. That checkup kind of caused a little bit of a stack up here. Now, it didn't create any contact, but the group is a lot tighter going off into 3 than it otherwise would have been. Brad Slaughter in the sucker hole there. Not a lot of air to put on the nose of that truck.
Yeah, looking back at it, I think he just missed a shift, I think, actually, is what happened. So he got him back going, minimized the damage, only back into 3rd as Ryan Hartz makes an aggressive block on Hallman to secure the lead. And here comes Scioli back on the bottom. Don't count him out just yet. 3 wide in behind them, fighting back for 5th place.
That makes me real nervous. Tom Bourne in the middle of 1 and 2 had a bit of a moment. Now we're seeing a lot of that straightaway shuffling. We saw that yesterday at Pocono as well in the Cup Series race. Sometimes you don't even crash in the corners. It's just all the movement on the straightaways. Scioli just hooks the yellow line, and he's coming back for the lead, 3 abreast out of turn 4.
Oh, man, imagine this is to the finish of the race. That would be exciting. Across the line by a nose. It'll be Hartz that leads that lap. Scully, though, has momentum. Going to inch a nose ahead into turn one. Look at that. They're bump drafting like they're at a super speedway.
4 wide for second place.
Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, they're going to get tight off turn two. Hart's going to have to go up the track. Luckily, he clears Holman. Otherwise, that could have been a massive wreck.
Well, one truck around to the back straightaway. The 57 of Josh Taylor spins, and the caution flies. And as everyone backs it down, you have to be cautious about secondary wrecks. We saw that happen yesterday.
And second spin down to the apron off of turn two. See if he had assistance. I imagine he did.
Travis Beckner was right behind him. And whoop, there might have been more to that. We'll have to watch from high above.
Yeah, it looks like it might have just been a bump gone wrong. He says 20 make a little bit of contact there, puts him up into, I'm not sure who that was on the outside.
That's classic
51.
Classic pinball maneuver there. That was Logan Hartman. So Josh Taylor will go to the rear of the field here, but I'm sure, well, actually, there'll probably be ruled a racing incident. I don't think there was anyone distinctly at fault there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also an update, Scully was apologizing for that restart. He said his truck somehow turned off for a second.
Oh.
Not sure how that happened.
Well, maybe he's got an ignition key mapped on his wheel and accidentally bumped it or something. I've done that before.
That's exactly the reason why I do not have that on my wheel.
Well, I like the realism. When I build my rig here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to put that on a dash panel away from the wheel.
Well, what you should definitely do is also what they do in real life is put the cover on
yeah.
it so you don't accidentally flip
like
it.
Starting an F-16.
I was going to say, if anything, is just cool, but also as a secondary function of not accidentally turning your truck off.
Maybe I'll make it like I'll get a little pin code thing, so you have to input a pin.
Oh.
Also?
Yeah, actually, I have a fun story.
Uh-oh.
It's a sad story for me. It'll be a fun story for everyone else. At Michigan. This is the old Michigan. This is back, oh God. I'm going to show my iRacing age here. Back in 2012, I want to say. 2013. It was a long time ago.
Hey, Grandpa.
I was at a race doing an IndyCar race here with the old IRL 05 IndyCar. And needed to save fuel. That's what I do. Turn the engine off. Didn't realize that IndyCars didn't have an internal starter motor. And I found out the hard way.
Well, at that point, could you at least could you at least lift off the clutch and
Nope.
bump start it? They didn't have that
Nope.
back then, did they?
Nope. It died and couldn't come back to life.
That is.
And everyone else was laughing at me.
You ever done a standing start and forget to turn the truck on or the car on?
Not had that.
I've had that happen.
You're
You're all ready. You got the clutch in, and you're in a Miata, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go win this rookie race.
Oh.
And then green flag, and you're like, oh, give me a second. No takers on pit lane, obviously. We just came down to pit lane, so everyone just going to hang in there. There's the one to green.
I think some other fun stories I have from Michigan.
I used to race IndyCar here a lot. That's one of the. I mean, that was one of the IndyCar stories. I'm sure there was a lot of crashes.
I've had one IndyCar race is also, I guess, not another fun story for Finian. I trust me, I've had fun times here, just not the good story fun kind. I was doing a race and coming out of turn two. You know how it's easy to just get in front of someone and give them a bunch of aero wash. I was fighting this one guy. It was like last couple laps of the race. Cut in front of me in front of turn two, and I went flying up into the wall, and they just typed into the chat, "lol." I was so mad. It's like fighting for 5th or 4th place, too.
Well, I know that story's a lie because that you'd never be fighting for 5th.
I would love to argue it, but you're not entirely wrong there.
Yeah. Well, soon we can race together. We should race some, you and I.
I was gonna say, when's the last time we've done a race together? It's been a
Been
long time.
so long.
It's been a long time.
So soon, within the next couple weeks, I'm building a rig for the first time in my iRacing life. I've just had a G29 clamped to the desk, and time to upgrade. So I got a Fanatec CSL DD, McLaren GT3 wheel, and chassis on the way soon. Here we go. Lap 27, green flag. Scioli this time gets a better launch. Everyone else pretty packed up. They're kind of figuring out how to keep it tight here on the restarts, Finian, but that could get messy later.
Oh, it was messy on the start. A lot of guys bumping into each other there, trying to jump the gun around 2-3 rows in. So a lot of beating, banging there as we're getting up to speed. And, oh, there's a Logan Hartman slow in turn 1. And I think had some help from Travis Beckner on the start. No caution. Oh, actually, sorry. Hartman blew an engine.
Well, that's not Beckner's fault.
No, that's not Beckner.
Unless Beckner's building the motors. Down the straightaways, one truck in the background just touching the fence on the front straightaway. For fourth place, Hartz and Irvin side by side, but Scioli leads Hallman. A couple other trucks still 3 abreast back here. Bobby Tinch and Seidenfeld in double file for 14th.
Yeah, right behind them, Jordan Hurley all the way ripping the bottom lane, trying to make up ground after his EOL penalty after turning around the 21 Eric Wineland off of turn 2. So he's trying to make his way back through the order. And another driver making his way back through the order, David Weishart, has been making some really solid forward progress, trying to now get past the 16 at Tom Bourne. Up back inside the top 10.
This graphic would make it look like he's had a bad night and slipped backwards,
yeah.
But I mean, he has, I suppose. Went back to 30th after that big slide on the opening lap after starting in second. And then just basically drove back through everybody. So here he is back inside the top 10 and doing a good job.
I was going to say, he only did that in just under 30 laps, too. So he used his time very efficiently.
Matthew Bell, hard in the wall out of turn 2. Everybody scatters. And Bell's going to lose a whole bunch of spots here. He's got some significant right front damage.
Yeah, ended up just almost got into Ryan Swan coming off of turn 2 as well. Yeah, I think it was actually trying to avoid Swan because Swan was walking up the hill, so Beckner just, not Beckner, sorry, Bell just happened to get the worst end of that situation. And he can't probably wait for a caution to come out so he has a chance to fix that machine, but up near the front, Tyler Hallman trying to chase down James Scully. A little bit of a breakaway from third place Brad Slaughter.
Coming back to the 1/3 mark of this race at the stripe. Look at Anna Sogak. He was the pole sitter tonight. Hasn't really had the raw pace on the long green flag runs to go anywhere, but back to the bottom, trying to keep Weishart behind him and maybe launch a fight here on the 16 of Tom Bourne.
Yeah, he's been slowly trickling back as the runs have been going on. He's still inside the top 10, but he's been slowly meandering out. How about Christopher Tate looking sharp in 6th place, running around the outside of Ryan Swan, and just in behind them, hello, Cameron Hearn.
Yeah, Hearn is up in the mix. So Hearn started 28th, but Christopher Tate started 32nd. He's up into 10th place.
Fine job in the 6 machine. Still fighting side by side with the 19 off of turn 2. Nowhere for Hearn to go at the moment.
Green flag laps clicking away here. The field beginning to spread out. I think the drivers, especially the ones at the front, are just hoping and praying to get through the next couple of laps and guarantee yourself some more time leading laps. Of the 31 laps that we have completed, Scioli has led 22 of them.
Now Hallman 0, Brad Slaughter 0 as well. Paul Irvin leading a good chunk of the rest of those laps, sitting in 4th place at the moment.
Brad Slaughter got Xfinity Internet, probably, down the back straightaway. Here's David Weishart to the inside of, excuse me, I was looking back a couple spots further than that. There's Cameron Hearn up inside the top 10 for the first time after starting back in 28th place. So let's keep an eye. You documented his historic results here at Michigan Speedway. He is going to be a force by the tail end of this race.
He's not finished worse than 2nd in the Truck Series here, so see if he can keep that record up. Still has a ways to go to the front, but they're making slow and steady progress, and still has a decent chunk of time left as well to get through the next few trucks. He's trying to work the inside. He's going to get a run on Ryan Swan coming out of turn 2. And for the lead, Halden making a move on Scully.
Big lunge into turn 3. Can he complete this? That outside lane was gaining some speed the last couple of laps. We've seen Weishart make some moves up there. Skyley throttles back up. It's going to be a bit of a drag race down the front stretch here, but that outside momentum is worth so much on this long front stretch.
Yeah, just kind of amazed the gap that they built to the rest of the field, although Slaughter closing back in pretty quickly here, using some slipstream. There you see them go a little bit high, trying to get around Colin Fairville, still running it slow on the bottom.
But now their side-by-side is going to bring in the 8 with a pretty big momentum run here. Watch the ground he makes up on this backstretch as they side draft each other. Where do you go if you're Slaughter Jr.? Do you try to go to the high side? He's going to lift early and wait on it. Irvin, though, looks like he's going to play ball as these two continue to fight.
I was going to say, I think he's going to wait for one of these guys to really get a poor run out of the corner. Thing is, I don't know if he can wait because Irvin is looking pretty antsy in behind him, waiting to make a move.
Yeah, Slaughter doesn't, I mean, he could have taken a big swipe and gone to the inside and threw it down there.
David Weishart close to quarters to the outside of the 3 truck.
Weishart can be reckless because he's got wins in the bag. He just needs to get more. So he can race aggressively. There's no real need for him to be conservative in any way. And I think he'd rather put people in a hard position and have to make them concede. But other drivers, Hallman included, have to be a little bit conservative. If you can't win, the next best thing is a second or third.
Yeah, you definitely need those solid points. Can't afford, I mean, you could try to bet on a Hail Mary and get that win, but if you miss, you're going to lose a huge chunk of change in the points, and you're going to put yourself in an even deeper hole going into next week.
Still door-to-door. Hallman slips a little bit, tucks back in line now, but did he kill the run enough? He did. Here comes Slaughter to the inside.
Great run. I think Hart's also going to follow through. He's going to have a look to the inside of the 48. Try to follow Slaughter on through as Slaughter moves up to second place. Paul Irvin now looking to the outside of Hallman.
Irvin testing the waters. He did this in the early part of the race too. Is there grip up there to have? And I think there's beginning to be a lot of trucks have been concentrated in that middle groove, so I still don't think it's the place to be, but it could be by the end of this race, and we're clicking away laps pretty quick at this rate, and Irvin is hungry for a win.
I'm just really happy that you can use either the bottom or the top lane. Both seem pretty viable if you can use them right. Making for some really, really close and intense racing here in Michigan.
Yeah, this is a fun event to watch. Like I said, this combination has always been good, whether it's the real world, dirt to Daytona, iRacing. I bet you even the heat games you could probably find a little bit of fun. Oh, one car in the wall, the 67 of Hearn in the wall in turn 3. Just light contact. But
yeah, after making such good forward progress, curious what happened there.
Well, he's going to stunt his momentum, but I think the truck is okay.
He looked like he actually
just got into it in 3, yeah.
Huh, that's kind of a weird mistake to make.
Oh, spin, big crash in turn 1 and 2. A horrible crash. Someone went head on into the outside wall. And was that the 52 of Carter Koop, potentially? Somebody. Maybe it was Seidenfeiden? Someone just got hooked and went for a wild ride off into turn number 1.
Yeah, that was Chris. He went for a wild ride.
Off the nose of Garrett Grant, potentially, right here. Yep. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
And then right into the 52, the 4 of Cochran involved. You see Seidenfeiden locking it down. That was a hellacious impact.
He got tapped a little bit loose right before the final impact, and then that last hit really just sent him for a loop. You see the 4 go flying into the 52 of Carter Koop. So really, really heavy hits all across the board for this accident.
Yeah, the 45, just the worst possible impact. And then right here, plowed into
driver's side door.
2 impacts to the driver's side door, because this one right here gets the front corner,
Oof.
Glances off of it, and then right here, again in the same spot, just gets clobbered. And then again in the left rear corner of the safety cell there. That was an absolutely vicious impact. That's right on board with the 4 of Matthew Cochran, who had it all happen in front of him and couldn't dodge it.
Probably wasn't able to see a good chunk of the initial amount of it. Then you can finally see some smoke. And if only it was a little bit higher, he might have been able to avoid it. But hindsight's 20/20.
7 of Josh Taylor also. Man, just so much destruction. And boy, are we lucky that is a simulated crash, because that 45, 3 hits to the driver's side of the safety cell, as pit lane is a busy place. We would be, that'd be a red flag for sure. But, man, just for the realism portion, I would love a red flag with a little bit of time acceleration.
I have a feeling there might be a chance of that coming with rain, potentially.
I think that'd be...
Depends how extreme they go with it. If they allow you to actually have a absolute Category 5 hurricane come through.
I want a night race at Michigan.
Oh God! In the rain.
Yes.
You know, I wonder. Actually, this is an interesting thing, because NASCAR is still they're still testing a rain tire for the oval, right?
I think they have approved it, and now it's on the table. There's a wet weather package now for the short tracks.
Oh, you got it approved. Okay,
Yes.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it got past that stage. Okay, so that'd be interesting to actually get a chance to try it, because obviously even in real life too, they've barely done rain races. We saw when they had their first real rain race at COTA, that was a disaster.
Yep, I thought it was great.
Oh, it was fantastic to watch, but they could have done it a lot better. You can definitely tell it was their first time doing a rain race.
I mean, that was a pretty significant amount of rain. So I can't really laugh at them for having such a miserable... I mean, think back to the Montreal days.
Yeah.
Man. 2008 or 7 when they had the big rainstorm. Here's the thing about road courses is I am glad they added more, because I like road races. The problem is everyone got too good at it.
Yeah. And it also doesn't help that these newer cars, the next gen cars, not the best. When it comes
the
to
Xfinity
racing
cars
yet.
still put on pretty good races, but even them, even they've gotten too good.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need guys like remember when we went to see the Glen and we saw the Archery guys and like spinning out turn one? We need that kind of.
Yes. Oh, I remember that. I was around for the first COT race at Watkins Glen. That was 2007.
Oh.
And I remember the big topic of discussion was how challenging they were in right-hand corners. And I think we might have saw 50 spins in turn 1 over the course of the weekend at all the different sessions. And the leaders spun out. So Tony Stewart was leading. He spun out. And then with like 2 laps to go, Jeff Gordon spun out, leading. It was a wild, wild weekend. And then the next year, 2008, was there was that big, famous turn 11 pileup crash at the pit entry that blocked the track. And then the next year after that was the Sam Hornish Jr. Jeff Gordon crash.
Yeah.
Then 2010, nothing happened. The worst year ever. Literally nothing of consequence happened. And then 2011, of course, that was when the Glen got good for about 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Pace truck pulls off, working our way towards halfway, lap 42 of 90. Scioli, Slaughter Jr., your front runners here. The Area Truck Series back underway from Michigan. Oh, Hartz is going to try to split the difference here. 3 wide for the lead. Slaughter, Hartz, and Scioli, and pinching each other off into the back into the racetrack.
And Hart's able to squeeze through and make his way to the top. Actually, not quite. I thought he would have gotten a better run on the outside from Brad Slaughter. Slaughter still fighting hard on the inside. In behind them for a third place, it's Irvin and Scioli duking it out side by side into turn 1.
Door to door, 183 miles an hour. Top speed for Hartz and Slaughter. The 3 truck, he wants this. He's gotten to win this season, but he deserves so many more in all the different series in the area championships. And if he can't get him in the Cup side, I'm sure he'll gladly take a trophy from the Truck Series this week. But he's got a lot of defending to do here in the next half of this race.
Oh, Paul Irvin looking to the inside of the 8 of Brad Slaughter, decided to back out of that. Paul Meadows was also trying to look to the outside of Weishart. Weishart sitting in 4th place now to the outside of the 8. Here comes Scioli all the way almost in the grass trying to make a move on the 3.
Bouncing and bumping over the apron into turn 1. Look at how tight they are packed up behind them for 3rd. Weishart to the outside carrying speed. still on a recovery drive from his big slide on that opening lap. 43 laps later, he's back inside the top 5 and hunting down the front 3.
These guys are literally bump drafting each other down the back straightaway. It's that tight and close corner. As you can see them all packed together, nose to tail. If something goes wrong, it can take out a lot of trucks right now.
3 and 4. Slaughter Jr. lost a couple spots. He's back to 5th. Hallman also in a similar position. So it's been a little bit of a revolving door up front. 7 lead changes now as Skyly goes back to the point. Next time by, halfway here at Michigan.
Oh, Jeffrey Wilson almost wiping out on the 85 machine on the inside of turn 2. That was able to save it.
There is less than a second between the front 11 right now. Look at Irvin now bottom feeding right against that yellow line and sliding across the nose of the 8 to boot.
Absolutely threw the truck into turn 3 and then just slid up on the exit to secure that spot ahead of the 8 of Brad Slaughter. Now trying to chase down Weishart as Weishart is pursuing the 3 of Hearts.
Line astern in the middle groove right now. Cameron Hearn, remember he scraped the wall in turn 3 and then dropped some spots. Well, he's back in the top 10 again. A little bit of 3 wide behind him with Tate in the middle, Beckner on the bottom, and to his outside is the the 85 of Jeffrey Wilson.
Yeah, Hearn's making some solid progress. Was 15th just 2 laps ago. Picking him up and putting him down as he works his way back through the order. For the second time, I guess.
Now the front 10 or 11 have completely singled out and are just following in the tire tracks of each other. And Skyly looks really strong. He's the driver that's led the most laps tonight. 35 of the 46 that we've completed. Hartz has led 4. Weishart has still led none, but he's back almost to where he started.
Really solid recovery drive for the 33 of Weishart. Going to get a decent run off turn 4. Going to work to the inside of the 3 of Hearts. And Irvin almost looked like he was going to split the difference 3 wide through the middle, but backed out of it.
Well, it took him half the race. But Weishart, at least for a moment, slots into second. A little bit of sideways behind Swan. The 19 and 16 almost got together, and this is going to get tight out of turn 2 to the outside of Christopher Tate. Look at the squeeze down the back straightaway.
And Anasogak was trying to make a move to the inside of Cameron Hearn. Couldn't quite be there. Tom Bourne. Oh, Tom Bourne on the wall off of turn 3 did the same thing that Cameron Hearn did. Just went a little too high on the entry and scraped the wall.
Cost him a lot of positions. He will drop to 24th and out of the picture in terms of the draft for now. Anasogak still trying to cling to a top 10 after starting on pole tonight. And for second place, Weishart and Hart still going at it.
Has a chance to get a really, really good run off the corner.
Oh, man!
Hart's almost getting in the wall as he tries to get around Weishart. Weishart not giving any lane to the number 3 machine.
Weishart just saw the gap and jammed the 33 truck into it. Now the next truck on the chopping block is the race leader. Here's a quick look at the race recap. 42 to go, 4 cautions, 4 leaders, 7 lead changes as we near lap 50.
Cody side by side with 41 of Kahila Holmes duking out for 12th place as the top 10 single themselves out for now.
How about Matthew Bell? Had some crash damage, a little bit of right front issues, but back in 17th. And it looks like that damage is repaired at least slightly, so maybe he's got something to run back up and get in the mix. I still think it's going to hurt, but it's not going to drive better than it did, but I don't think it's all that bad.
Yeah, he sat in the pits for about a minute getting that truck fixed up as much as he can for the restart.
40 laps to go. Field looking a little bit more orderly this time through. This is one of those places where you could just kind of ride in line and be content with where you're running, especially guys like Weishart,
Or it can be Brad Slaughter and trying to make a move to the outside of Paul Irvin.
Or you could be that.
Ooh, Irvin trying to cut him off and decided not to avoid getting turned, so gave the lane to the 8 of Slaughter. And Irvin now trying to look to the inside of the 3, couldn't quite get there.
They're still looking. Still looking.
Irvin making a move to the inside of Hartz into turn 1. Ooh, and Irvin having looking. You can see how choked he is in the momentum off of turn 2. He's going to lose a position to
Cameron
Slaughter.
Hearn spins the 19, and then the 67 get tangled together. Caution out for the 5th time tonight.
Turn 2 strikes again for the 3rd time.
In Calamity Corner tonight.
Yeah. Which he usually is.
Right here, corner exit. Kind of a similar thing to what we saw for the first caution.
Yeah, Swan was just a little bit off the wall further down I think Cameron Hearn was expecting.
I'm going to, yep.
What?
I'm going to try that again. Let's give it a do bop. Let's have another look here from a different angle. I think we're going to see the 67 just tracks up. The 19 doesn't go quite all the way to the wall, but there's still plenty of racetrack for these two cars. Yeah, it did leave quite a bit of space, but the 67, there wasn't like that was an abrupt change of direction for the 19, so they're going to probably disagree on what led to that crash and whose fault it was, but rare everyone agrees on why a crash happened, whose fault it was.
Yeah, they never typically do. And Cameron Hearn looks like he was able to get back to the place he was running at before that caution came out. So he's going to go back to 8th place. See what the admins rule, if he can hold on to that 8th place or he'll be deemed at fault. I think most likely it's probably going to be dealt with as a racing incident.
And we will see. Well, it was ruled as the 5's fault when that same sort of scenario happened in the early part of the race. It was pretty similar. There was a couple differences in how that formulated, but for the most part, I think they're comparable. We'll see what happens. So trucks on pit lane, and I think from here, likely good to the end, Finian, but I think we'll see another pit stop if we get another caution.
Yeah, I'm sure if it comes out, depending on when it comes out, if it comes out late enough into the run, definitely going to see these guys come back down. We'll see, does anyone take 2 tires? So the 6 truck, Christopher Tate lead pit lane early. He came out on 2.
Yeah, 2-tire call for the 6. Now, what was the stint we were running with? It wasn't crazy long, was it?
How long did we just go, you're asking?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second to do some quick mental math. About 15 laps. 13 laps. So not too long.
All right, jump to break for a moment. Be back with the restart here, approaching lap number 60 from Michigan. We'll be right back. Back live from Michigan Speedway and the penultimate race of the regular season for the Area Truck Series. 54 laps complete of 90 scheduled laps tonight. Kyle Heyer joined by Finian D'Acunha. 36 laps to go. 8 lead changes. We're on our 5th caution of the night after a tangle with the 19 and the 67 out of turn number 2. Started with 30 trucks, down to 27 rolling at the moment. Christopher Tate leading on a 2-tire call. Coming back to the restart this time by Finian.
Can't wait to see these guys get back going. It was starting to get really interesting there as they're all running single file, but all very close together. And then we had that little incident with Cameron Hearn. And actually that incident deemed just a racing deal due to net code.
All right, heading back to the green flag at lap number 56. And we'll see how the two-tire call works. I think there's a lot of people paying attention to this to see if this is a valid strategy. Typically, it's not. We might be proven wrong here. 35 laps to go, and green flag back in the air. For the lead, James Scioli to the bottom. And I think we're about to find out that the tires aren't the call. Look at the 3 and the 8. Oh, they're going to bounce off each other for a moment. And everybody's scattering behind them.
Yeah, that was hard. He was just coming off the wall, trying to get away from the wall as he got a little bit of it off of turn 2. And then Slaughter looked like he was trying to shoot the gaps. And that could have almost been disastrous. Still can be potentially disastrous. They go 3 wide off of turn 4.
The 6 is going to go to the high side. That is not going to work. 2 tires, not the call. Take 4 when you get the chance. 3 abreast into turn 1. Anna Sogak trying to find some ground here in the middle of this group. Tyler Hallman on the bottom.
Slaughter loose off of turn 2, sliding down to the infield.
Wow, great save by the number 8. He's going to blend back into traffic as the 46 pops out of line. But Finian, that was an amazing save.
Yeah, that was genuinely impressive there. Almost 4 wide for just a second. Garrett Grant trying to make a huge amount of time on the inside, shot the gap, saw an opening. Somehow they lived to see another day.
3 wide looking. I think that's the 24 Okoye that had to look to the inside.
They're trying to look to the inside of Travis Beckner. No gap quite there just yet. Tyler Hallman looking very loose. So he's still looking loose in the middle of 1 and 2. Almost gets turned off of the nose of Travis Beckner as they come onto the back straightaway.
This is getting very dicey here. Beckner in particular, we haven't really seen him up front a lot tonight, so is he?
Oh, Jordan Hurley to the inside, 3 wide.
Oh boy, is he going to slide up the track? No, he keeps it tucked tight and tidy on the bottom. 42, 28, 5, and 85 all packed up together.
If anything, it looked like Hallman was the one a little bit loose in 3 and 4. He's gathered back up now side by side with Jeffrey Wilson. You can see them all running around the 5 of Jordan Hurley, who's still trying to hang in there. Beckner now coming across aggressively over the nose of the 5.
67 Ahern going to shoot a gap that's very tight between the 5 and the 09. And now has the draft from the outside lane, chasing Holmes. And to the inside there, that's Beckner still just trying to notch his way forward 1 truck at a time.
Cameron Ahern in the middle of all of this as he's trying to work up through the order once again.
Still, we're going to go 4 wide? Heck yeah.
Oh boy.
We're going to try 5, aren't we?
Well, we said there's a lot of real estate to play with here.
4 wide, I think, somewhere. We got some quarter panels overlapping fenders somewhere in that picture. Beckner grabs a whole bunch of them and slides across the nose of the 85. Ahern to the outside. He's amongst the midst of his competitors and squeeze.
They go back straight away. And there's no caution.
Well,
somehow.
Holmes not done yet. I think he's got it gathered up. Great job again by everybody to keep that from going completely haywire. Just bounces off the 6 and wow. How about this?
Yeah,
view?
I was going to say, I had a feeling they were playing a little bit too close quarters coming out of turn 2.
Okay,
could have been a lot worse.
Could have been a lot worse. And is it going to get calm? Nope, we're going to go side by side for the lead into 3. 30 laps to go. And here comes Scioli past Hartz to retake his rightful throne. But he has held all night long.
Threw it in there a little bit too much here. Hartz is going to come back with a decent run off turn 4. Actually, not as big of a run as I would have thought. But what I was going to say also, too, is that with all that battling we saw, 3, 4, and almost 5 wide, top 5 were able to break away there. Got a second over Garrett Grant. You can see him moving in the background. David Weiser, close quarters off of turn 2, almost turns a 3 into the wall.
And they're playing with fire right now with the close quarters right here, just inches And we've had a couple netcode related incidents. The previous accident with the 67 and 19 started as a netcode bump. That's what caused the 67 to kind of bounce and slip like he did when they kind of made a little bit of ghost contact. So I'd be very cautious playing with that close of a slide up, at the exits of turns 2 and 4. But they've seemed pretty comfortable doing that with each other up here. But you introduce one driver that hasn't been doing that yet tonight, and one miscalculation, it's game over.
Yeah, it really is all it takes. And you can see Colin Farrell, Matt Cochran stuck on the bottom. Both of them just kind of, I guess, trying to slipstream, do something, just trying to keep their momentum going, what little they have.
The 5-truck breakaway at the front. Scioli, Hartz, Weishart, Irvin, and Anna Sogak. Then it's 1.5 seconds back to Garrett Grant, Tyler Hallman, Travis Beckner, and more. And now the kind of train is single filed out, and I think they realize they need to stop messing around because that front 5 is quickly accelerating away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. I honestly thought that was going to close up a little bit, but it went from about 1.1 seconds to about 1.5 seconds, and they're slowly trying to gain that back here. So Garrett Grant, Hallman doing the heavy lifting for that second pack of cars, trying to catch back up. Whoa! Hallman almost turned Garrett Grant into the off the corner, off of turn 3.
A little bit of smoke and dust flying from right up against that outside wall. They need to get that train moving because the previous one is already to the next city.
Yeah, I was going to say they're trying to get them moving. That resulted almost with them wrecking off at turn 3, so they got to be careful with how hard they push.
And 3 wide, way out of the pack. .25 laps to go. This time by Brad Slaughter Jr. Big send into 3. Ooh. Almost ran out of road.
Yeah, I was going to say, got really close to the wall, just absolutely threw it into turn 3 to get around Beckner. Now, curious to see if he's going to try to work on getting past Hallman and Grant, or maybe just kind of sitting behind these guys as they chase down the leaders.
They last time by, they were 2.5 tenths faster than that front group. So whatever they were doing is working. I don't think it was what Hallman and Grant are doing right now.
Looks like he's going to try to pass looking to the inside. Going to peel back in behind on the back straightaway.
Nope.
There he goes, looking out into turn 3. Look to the inside of Hallman. Hallman looking to the outside of Grant.
And see how everyone's creeping up the racetrack? It's not necessarily because the grip is increasing up there. They're just throwing it in the corner harder and drifting up.
Ooh, have a look at the weather. Speaking of which, talking about the grip levels, track temp 101 degrees.
Yeah, it's been there for a little while. I checked back in on a previous caution, but it's still about 8 or 9 degrees hotter than it was in practice and qualifying. Now we're kind of getting into this long run rhythm. And this reminds me a lot of last night at Pocono with the 91. Scioli he hasn't been quite as on it as the 91 was last night at Jake Nichols. Scioli has just been the only driver to get out in front and be able to comfortably lead without constantly defending. He's able to kind of pace everyone else behind him.
He has done a really solid job in that. Haven't quite seen if Hartz or Weiser can try to take the lead away from Scioli. Especially later on the run, too. I think, if anything, their best chance is try to get past Scioli now, rather than later when the tires are worn out.
You can always bet on a caution, but been a little bit more hit or miss here tonight than we've seen in weeks past, so chance we go to the end on green is pretty high.
Well, I was going to say, we also lost a lot of competitive trucks. I mean, we're only out there, we only got about 23, 22 competitive trucks out running, compared to with the 30 plus we started with. So odds of caution have decreased significantly.
Now, yes, we also do ratchet up the intensity quite a bit in the next 10 or 15 laps, and when that happens, we can expect a lot dicier moves. We've seen crashes not necessarily happen amongst big packs of trucks like you'd expect next week at Talladega. We've seen incidents happen with just 2 miscalculating their position. So it's not completely out, but it's certainly a lot less likely than it was 15, 20 laps prior.
For some of the guys who like the shorter runs are definitely going to be hoping for a caution to bring everyone back down pit lane, get fresh tires, and have a sprint to the end. I think the guys who are better on the long run, they're going to be hoping it stays as is so they can manage their stuff and hope the guys that are run a lot harder burn up their stuff and start dropping back.
Yeah, that pack that was trailing the lead 5 is still closing that ground. Brad Slaughter Jr. is at the pointy end of that second pack, and they are only now 9/10 of a second behind. But Garrett Grant and Tyler Hallman continue to kind of fight amongst themselves, and they've actually lost Brad Slaughter Jr. now.
Yeah, I was going to say, Slaughter pretty much lost them in the dust to get ahead of them and trying to catch back up by himself, which he almost is. He's almost there as part of that first pack. Hallman and Grant did swap positions in turns 3 and 4. So now Hallman leading Grant. See if that can improve their odds of catching back up.
We get 20 laps to go this time through. A little bit of side-by-side deeper in the field. There's Tom Bourne and Eric Wineland. Wineland's nursing that damage to the left side of the truck, but hasn't really had the pace that he had before that incident. And go back to where he is in the standings. Really needed tonight to go well, because next week is going to probably turn into a must-win situation, which nobody wants to have to rely on that at Talladega. I guess you'd rather be in a must-win at Talladega versus a place like, Charlotte or something where you actually really have to race. But
yeah,
I still don't like being in that position. I'd rather be locked in and moving on.
I mean, considering there's a significant chance in that situation where your other competitor could win, and then you definitely get knocked out. So we'll see. Still has a chance to try to make up some spots here, but one's been dropping back little by little, back down to 16th now.
Will the front 5 race at all? Or are they going to kind of just roll together? I don't know if anyone is really that motivated to move, or if they're just kind of all at 110% and can't get anything done.
Well, I imagine that Scioli, Hartz, and Weishart are definitely going to be trying to push it because they'll have a win apiece, so they're just trying to collect more and more wins, get more and more bonus points heading into the playoffs. Paul Irvin, Justin Isoga, and Brad Slaughter now, the back half of that top 6, they're all in a position where they're still looking for their first win of the season, trying to lock themselves in. Brad is pretty good point-wise, so you can argue probably doesn't really need a win at this point. But definitely doesn't hurt to have, and I'm sure he'd love to get that first win. He's looking pretty strong here, driving back up to 8th. And honestly, that graphic at the bottom doesn't really do him a lot of justice. He's been back up and back down the order a few times tonight.
A lot of drivers that fall into that category. The 88 real high in 1 and 2. And that's because the 8 is underneath him and grabbing a position. So Brad Slaughter Jr. has not been in this group, so he might come in here and turn up over all the tables and pull all the cloths off, because he just... I don't think he's willing to necessarily play ball with the rest of these guys that have been pretty orderly the last 15 laps.
I think a lot of these guys are just trying to ride these laps out till the end, and then you can kind of just fight amongst themselves, just trying to keep that gap away from other competitors.
16 laps to go. And again, the chances for a yellow just rapidly decreasing as the field spreads out and gets increasingly single file. The tires are wearing. That trends to understeer here to a place like Michigan versus a place like a road course or a short track where you might end up with oversteer that makes cautions more likely after some time. I think it's the opposite here. Bryce Senesac, Garrett Grant. Grant has really fallen off. He dropped off the tailpipes of Tyler Hallman and now behind the 09 of Senesac. We haven't talked about a whole lot tonight, but 19th up to 8th, this is going to be a pretty good top 10 if he can hang on to it.
Yeah, he's had a pretty quiet race, which again is usually a good sign. He's kind of slowly been moving his way up through the order, not been making anything too flashy for the camera. Just been picking him up, putting him down, up into 8th, trying to see if he can chase down the 42 Hallman, just ahead of him in 7th.
Out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. The 8 and 88. A little bit of a
Slaughter.
Tank slapper tailpipe situation there.
Yeah, Brad Slaughter got very close to the wall of turn 2 as Soga almost had a look due to that mistake from the 8th.
And laps just clicking away, and now that you're getting into this mindset, we're going to run into this probably tomorrow night too if we get a lot of green flag racing. You get down to the final 12, 10, 8 laps, and you start to think about the different chess moves you can make, where you can put your pieces. Ryan Hartz already might be experimenting here, just laying back a little bit. What kind of a run can I build on Scioli? This is experimentation time, not go time just yet.
Yeah, he has to be a bit careful, though, because he's got the 33 Weishart still breathing down his neck, and we've seen several times in this race that Weishart not going to be able to play nice with Ryan Hartz if he doesn't have to. Well, be aggressive if he needs to.
The other thing is Weishart, if he's on the same wavelength as the 3, which I'd imagine they would be in their current scenario, I think they're both going to try to experiment here. They're both going to reap the same benefits of playing around with the 7. Scioli's been the best truck all night long. I don't think anyone's denying that. What are you going to do to get past him? Because right now, they have been running second and third behind him for the last 20 laps. You're not going to magically just decide to pass him unless you've really been holding back. So what strategies can you exploit? Laying back, taking a different line. But you're going to need to have help to get by this 7, I think, and the 3 has got a good man behind him in that of David Weishart.
I also want to note that Tyler Hallman's effectively caught the back end of this group. More or less, he's just about there. Just under half a second back from Justin Anisogak here. 12 laps to go. You see there 5 cautions so far this race, and only 9 lead changes, which is a bit surprising, but I think that obviously doesn't include the number of exchanges during the lap. Just at the line, as you see 3 line action for a second there. Beckner, Bell, and Ryan duking it out.
I would really like a NASCAR scoring loop style update. Not even for the relative box in iRacing, but just for the scorekeeping for lead changes, because, yeah, I mean, there's been a whole bunch of passes that were not registered because, you know, the guy that led at the stripe both times was the same, despite having actually exchanged the lead 2 or 3 times in that one lap. Slaughter Jr. throttling up to the outside of Swerve and Irvin, but didn't get the overlap. But again, he's being aggressive out there. Irvin tight.
Yeah, I think it was waiting for Irvin to kill that momentum, trying to defend from Brad Slaughter. Didn't quite lose as much momentum as I think Brad would have hoped for, as Irvin dives to the outside of the 33. Weishart way out of line.
Trying things, experimenting. Worked a little bit on entry, but it's going to cost him on exit. This time through, Scioli leads 10 laps to go from Michigan.
And just about clear Slaughter as he pulls back in line single file. They'll go once again. And if there's any time you want to experiment, now is the time. Don't want to be experimenting on the last lap.
Down the back straightaway again. It's just plotting and planning. It's like a whole bunch of evil dictators in their lairs, all coming up with different ways to take over the world.
That's a little dramatic there.
Am I wrong?
I mean, not entirely.
And some of the evil dictators are working together. It's just like real life. Racing is politics. There's a controversial take of the day.
Oh, yeah. I think definitely would have been politics. I was really hoping to see Cameron Hearn and Jordan Hurley jump up to the top there together, because they were both running well at one point. They were both near each other, but they never quite came cross paths this race. Yeah. For better or for worse.
Hearn is back up to 10th. Hallman in the fence in turn 3.
Didn't even see when the camera was that high.
Simrap Market replay camera into turn 3 here. Just again, same scenario, just following in tow.
Third time we've seen that.
Yeah, I think drivers are they're following so closely. Here comes the 3 to the bottom. 8 laps left.
We might get it here. If he throws it into the corner, should be able to slide job in front of the 7. Forcing them to get on the brakes and should secure it for now. It's going to be under attack, though, coming off into turn 3.
Down the back straightaway, here comes Scioli again. Rick's hot sauce truck to the high side. Scioli back to the bottom. And David Weishart licking his lips here.
And Seven's going to kill a bit of his run here, coming off turn 4. Weishart getting in behind to slipstream.
Yeah.
Will he go high? Will he go low?
He's going to try to get to the outside of the 7. Nope. Tucks in.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was going to try to squeeze up to the outside, follow the 3 through. 7 back to the bottom in 1 and 2.
There you go, 7 slipping up off the corner. Weishart couldn't quite get to the top in time. Sitting behind, there you see Hart's going defensive to the inside lane as he come across the lap trucks once again.
Well, good time to tell you about Rick's Hot Sauce. Well, the Rick's Hot Sauce truck is leading. Be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings.
Behind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Irvin and Anasogak duking it out for a second there. Anasogak starting to get racy, and they're actually starting to lose some time. The top 3 have broken away.
Yeah, these 3, I think if they can leave those guys in the dust and just settle amongst themselves, they're absolutely going to do that. But Irvin Anasogak and Brad Slaughter Jr. have to realize that that's what they want. They want those 3 to fight. So they need to organize, work together here, and just blow by this group. They have enough distance to build some momentum, but they need to put the strongest truck in front.
Trio Chevrolet is leading this race here into its closing stages. 5 laps to go when they come across the line, and Hart's almost kissed the wall off of turn 4.
5 laps remaining. Scioli with a big run to the bottom, and Hartz is going to follow him. Back in line, then back out again into turn 1.
He's going to throw it into the corner hard. Can't quite do it. Hartz did a great job timing that pass. He built up a great run, threw it to the inside of the corner, and was able to fend off Scioli. Scioli trying to replicate the same maneuver, but can't quite execute it.
And well, he's got Hartz offline. Hartz isn't able to run the line that he wants, so he's going to keep chipping away at him here. He just needs to get one lucky run, the same way that the 3 did.
He's got to worry about Weishart. Weishart's going to make a move on him at some point. You see Scioli weaving caution. Matthew Bell, I think, the cause of it.
Crash, and we're going to get a green-white checkered to finish this out. So, all right.
Oh, he went for a wild ride.
So everything you thought was going to happen is not going to happen. We're going to have a pretty wild dash to the checkers. This is going to be our crash. And oh, my gosh.
Oh, you were talking about a red flag. That's absolutely a red flag.
Holy cow. To the outside of the 99 of Tommy Ryan and just runs him up the hill, keeps running him up the hill, then pow, and then up and over, and grinds like Tony
Hawk.
That's the skater boy that I was thinking of. Skater man. Yeah, that hurt, man. Oof. Oh, and on board. We might have some catch fencing go right through the roll bar here. Oh, holy cow.
We had 2 drivers probably heading to the hospital.
Yep. So, back from the SimWrap Market replay. Well, that's great. We got one more thing to tell you about before we wrap up the race here tonight. Fans, be sure to check out areiaracing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout. There are a lot of trucks on pit lane. Are you surprised by that, Finian?
No, I'm not surprised. If I was a crew chief and you didn't come down pit lane, I would personally get in a car, drive out on the track. Yeah, I mean, but these guys have been out here. I'm not even sure how to check it. They've been out here for almost 30 laps.
Okay, all right, fine. Hey, Paul Irvin.
What I was saying is I would get out in a car myself, go out there and pit maneuver you. Well, trying to get you to come down.
Okay. Well,
actually,
right.
I say that. Cody Cutterer and Jordan Hurley
how did that they stayed out. All right. Irvin, 2 tires on the 48. Hartz and Weishart, everyone else took 4.
Oh, this is going to be fun, isn't it?
Oh, man. We were so close to having momentum racing to the checkers for once, and we're going to have to.
Yeah, we've had a lot of green-white checkers.
I think almost every race this season has come down to a green-white checker.
Yeah, I obviously not going to try to check that now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that majority of our races have come down to a slugfest at the end, and I'm sure a lot of the guys that run up here are sick of it.
Well, the thing is the races, some of the races we've seen this season were going to play out very exciting naturally. And didn't need the green-white checkered, where typically I'm excited for green-white checkered because the race was boring, but that has not been the case this season.
No, it was amping up there towards the end, especially because you could tell the guys were kind of just riding around for quite a bit because just tick off the laps, and then finally they were starting to have a battle amongst themselves, and then had this late race caution to mix things up here. So you got two guys that did not decide to come down pit lane. That is not going to work out well for them at all. We saw how quickly the two-tire call failed on Tate. I have absolutely no doubt it's going to fail miserably for at least the 25 and the 5. The 48 Paul Irvin, I don't think it's going to fare as well either.
Well,
I think he's just kind of, I think what they're kind of hoping on is there's going to be a wreck immediately.
That's what I'm getting at here is
yeah.
This has been the strategy, and Skyly played this almost to perfection a couple weeks ago. This has been the strategy is if there's a late race caution, you stay out on the racetrack, because almost always when we've had this green-white checkered, we've had another crash to wrap it up. So that's why I was so surprised when we saw so few drivers stay out, because we've seen that kind of be the method.
Did Reinhardt
yes.
hit the wall? All right.
Warming up the right side of the truck so he can break it in before he uses it to steer.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it made a little bit more sense to do in New Hampshire because it was so hard to pass. And then here, it is a lot easier to make a pass and make a move. So I think the two-tire call is the better one. I feel like no tires, you're really going to be asking for trouble if you don't get a caution within the first two turns. But we'll see what happens.
Yep.
These 5Y Esports guys have a plan up in the front.
I don't like the two-tire call now that there's people in front of me, because now I have to pass them and I'd rather have 4. But let's see what happens. 2 laps to go. If we get a caution, the race is over. 4 miles left at Michigan International Speedway for the Area Truck Series, the penultimate race of the regular season. Brad Slaughter Jr. to the inside. Green flag. We're back underway, and Slaughter just trying to run with it on the bottom. Got a great jump.
Oh, and here we go. We're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Will they last?
No,
Will they make it?
No way.
It's 4 wide.
No
Here's
way.
Weiser down on the apron. They're wrecking already into turns 1 and 2, and the caution will fly. Race is not over. There it is.
And the 25 is leading this race.
Well, I rescind my previous comment.
Yeah, I don't love when these devolve to that, but that's just how it's been going. The 5 truck here goes middle of the road and then just, I mean, you can't yell at drivers for not having patience because it's 2 laps to go and you kind of have to give it a go. But I just don't love the just chuck it in there and you know, consequences be damned. 33 on the bottom below the yellow line, the 48 there. They're 5 wide. There's just no way you come out of this without crashing. 3.
They're 5 wide, you say?
Yeah, well, that's... Well, that wrapped up a whole bunch of trucks nights. Final lap, Cody Cutrer in the 25. Now, when we go back here to our points scenario, Cody Cutrer, I don't even think, is on this list. Where is he in the standings?
Yeah, I'm doing that research right now. He's 30th, so
yeah, so this won't even be good enough for the playoffs then.
No, he's got to get enough points to be. You have to be in the top 20 for that win to matter. So depending on how next works, so I don't even know if he'll be close enough by then, but we'll see how it plays out. That being said, though, Justin Sogak and Paul Irving are going to come out with fantastic points. Even Tyler Hellman, in 7th. So decent runs for some of those guys.
Cameron Hearn got up to 6th in the final moments of that one, restarted 11th. And checkered flag is out, and behind the pace truck, Cody Cutrer gets his first win of the season. David Weishart 2nd, Justin Anasogak, Irvin, and Brad Slaughter Jr. the rest of the top 5. Have a look at the race results in their entirety before we talk to our race winner and the other 2 that followed him to the checkers. Cody Cutrer on the top of the board there, Weishart and Anasogak, and then looking down the rest, Tyler Hallman. After the top 5, Jeff Ryan. Eric Wineland, 8th place. Ryan Hartz, though, that's a disappointing end to the number 3's night.
Oh, yeah, he was very upset in the chat of how this ended. Now that I think about it, too, I feel like on a lot of times he has been in the poor receiving end of these green-white checkers. Just not up near the top, then it gets taken out or forced down the order, or just gets denied of the win right at the end. So definitely not a fan of the way these play out for the end for the number 3, Beckner, rounding out the top 10. As we move on to the next page of results, Grant, Senizak, Tate, Swan, Tinch, top 15 with Coe Bourne. Hurley, Jordan Hurley finished all the way down in 18th after being in Walnut Wreck. Same thing with Brad Slaughter, all the way down in 20th in the 8 truck.
And looking down the rest, 21st to 30th, James Scioli. Wow, 21st, disappointing end. Matthew Bell, 22nd. And a handful of others. Colin Fambro, pretty disastrous night considering his scenario in the points. Jeffrey Wilson in that 85, down in 26th. And then a whole bunch of drivers that had some big hard hits tonight. The 45, the 52, the 57, and that one big crash down at turn number 1. Then Roderick and Hartman, that had issues also.
Correction, I think Brad Slaughter is supposed to be in 5th place. I think he had
a penalty.
One of those. Yeah,
well, I know maybe
weird.
That was a real penalty though, because he got a really good restart that looked pretty fishy. So we'll let the admins deal with that and update accordingly. But now it's time to chat with some of our front runners. Justin Anasogak finished in 3rd in the number 88. Started on pole, finished in 3rd. Justin, tonight was a bit of a challenge. Kind of dropped to the tail half of the top 10, but when it counts, you're P3. Take us through those last couple laps, the gear up for the run to the end, and then the restart that ended the race.
I was just looking for a clean race, you know. I'm below the cutoff line for the playoffs, so I was just trying to look for a nice, clean, solid top 5, top 10. And you guys should have heard me. I got so excited when I finished 3rd. It felt like a win right there at the end.
Well, sometimes being in the right place at the right time, it helps. There was a big crash there on the restart. Take us through the thought with the late race cautions. We have these race extensions, the green-white checkers. It seems like the prevailing strategy has been stay out and avoid the crash at the end and basically pick up the win as Cody did. Your thoughts going back to the strategy call coming on pit lane, was that something you felt like you had to do?
Yeah, the run was just too long. We pretty much did a full fuel run right there, and it's just the fall off was so much. So 4 tires were to go, but it was a good call by Cody. So it's pretty cool that you got the win.
Yeah, really good job tonight, Justin. P3 in the 88. Great night for you, and best of luck to you next week at Talladega. That's a wild one. We'll see you there.
I'm gonna need it.
All right, moving on now to our race winner. Cody Cutrer in the number 25 picks up the win in the 5-wide sports truck. Man, Cody, that was a great call there at the end. I always say these late race yellows, why not stay out, wait for the field to wad it up behind you. Your teammate got involved in it, but they were 5 wide. It was never going to work. You saw it all in the mirror. Take it through us.
Yeah, I just decided to make a pit call at the end. Me and my teammate decided to stay out at the end since it was a green-white checkered. And luckily, we got a yellow. So, saw all that happening behind me. I need to thank my sponsor, 5-Wide Sports. I need to thank my team owner, Trevor Tong. This is for him. I've got to thank my teammates, Jordan Hurley and Jeffrey Wilson. And it was a wild race. I got wrecked on lap 2. I rode around with damage the whole entire race, and then I decided to make that call at the end, and it worked out.
It certainly did. You pick up your first win on the season. A little bit too far out of it looks like, for the playoff picture, but at least you can go to Talladega with a win in the win column.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to push a teammate to the win at Talladega. So.
All right, he's got his plan already sorted out for next week, it sounds like.
All right. But, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the race and all. I've never done one of these interviews. I'm not sure what all I'm supposed to say.
You're good. That's it. You can call it. You can thank whoever you want to thank.
All right. I got to thank my teammates and 5-Wide. Go 5-Wide. Visit 5-Wide Sports on YouTube.
Excellent. Thanks, Cody. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Celebrate. We'll see you next week at Talladega.
All right.
Moving on now to second place finisher David Weishart in the 33. Well, started in second and finished in second, but that does not describe the night that you had, David. Lap 1, big slide down at turn 3, fell all the way back to about 30th, and then it took you half the race to get back to where you started. Take us through your night, and then the end of the race that probably could have ended under green with different circumstances, but either way, a second at the end.
Yeah, on lap 1, that just caught me off guard. They just snapped out of nowhere and got loose and hit my teammate Brad there. He hit me in the back. We thought we had more damage than we did, but yeah, I kind of thought my race was over at that point because I thought it was going to be hard to pass, and it shocked me how racy the trucks were here. Like, you could actually race and make passes, so that was nice to see. I was able to work my way back up there. And then that last run, I was just kind of riding. It was really, really close on fuel, and I didn't want to lead. So I was just kind of riding there. I think I burnt my stuff up a little bit. I started to get a little too tight off of 4, a little too loose out of 2. And then James and Ryan started battling there, and I was just doing all I could to help James there. And Man, it's just yet another week. We're set up for an all-time area finish, and a wreck for 11th place. Irrelevant. Just determines the outcome here, and then obviously you get guys staying out and stuff like that, in which they're just doing what they got to do. So I don't blame them for doing that. And that last wreck, I don't know if that was my fault or not. I was trying to beat Paul to the yellow line. I knew he was on 2, and you had the 2 5 wide guys on. They stayed out, so I was just trying to beat him to the yellow line there, and because the bottom line in 1 was just so dominant. And I knew if I could get there, I could get around all of them and possibly win the race. And I think at the last second, because at the last second for me, it told me I had a car to my outside, and it looked like it told him he had a car to his inside, and he kind of reacted to that. So I don't think we made any contact, but I feel like I had a part in that last wreck. So I apologize to anybody that caught in that, but either way, glad to come home with 2nd place.
Well, here's what we can tell you. There were 5 trucks wide. So there was really no way I think anyone was coming out of that, regardless of who initiated it. But that everyone just has to go for it, right? And as you mentioned, the crash is what set that up. So everyone with 2 laps to go, knowing that the next flag ends the race, you got to do what you got to do, David. 2nd place tonight. Congratulations. Best of luck to you next week at Talladega. Hey, at least you don't have to go into Talladega worrying about missing the playoffs.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about missing the playoffs. It's all going to be about getting a good finish. I really want that regular season points championship to get those extra bonus points. So that's what I'll be going in to that race with that mindset.
All right, plan engaged for David Weishart. Congratulations, P2. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, Finney, wrapping things up from Michigan Speedway. This was a fun one. Good racing all around. Disappointing end, I think, though. We were setting up for a really good race to the checkers, as David mentioned, but quelled by a caution flag at the very tail end of that race. But pretty good racy situation, but now we head to Talladega. And we don't go to Talladega all that much, so whenever we go, I'm always excited for it because plate racing, super speedway racing, whatever you want to call it, it's always got entertainment on tap all night long.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think these guys, a lot of these guys can't wait to get there. Either A, to get over it, just get over this hurdle, or B, have that last chance to get that win and secure themselves in the playoff picture. This is really the 2 main mindsets going into next week.
That's going to do it for us tonight here on Sim TV. Thanks so much for joining us and being a part of this. We'll see you next week for the resumption of the Area Truck Series. Thursday, though, the Area Lodge Box Series will head back to Pocono where we were last night. We'll see you there. Have a good night.